Hey y'all, I'm back with another round of high protein meal plan inspiration. The thing I hear over and over again in the comments, in support groups, all over the place is how the heck am I supposed to eat to lose weight on Wegovy and Mounjaro? So today I'm going to be showing you a day's worth of meals, breakfast, snack, lunch, dinner, and a dessert. All of them are low calorie, high protein, filling, and balanced. Just like the ones that already helped me lose over 110 pounds on Wegovy and Mounjaro. I'll walk you through the menu, and then I'm going to share some tips on customizing the calories and macros you need for your body, because we're all different. It's super easy, I promise. So grab a snack and join me as we talk about what's on the menu and how you can make it work for you, because it's not just about losing weight, it's about making it work for your lifestyle. I'm excited to have you along for the journey. Let's get to it. We're going to start the day with my favorite breakfast. I've shared it many times on my channel and it's gone through several iterations throughout my journey, but at its core, it's just eggs, potatoes, sausage, and fruit. If you have a favorite breakfast that you like to go back to over and over again, I would love to know what it is. Please let me know down in the comments. The secret to a fabulously runny egg yolk is a preheated pan. So I always start by setting my pan on a medium to medium high burner with the lid on while I get everything else prepared. Since the potatoes take the longest to cook, I get them going first. I use tater tots. These are crispy rounds, which I prefer because they get super crunchy. I know this doesn't seem like a lot, and believe it or not, 2 of these are actually for my puppy, but I actually cut them in half and they create the perfect bite with a piece of sausage and egg. I'll show you what I mean later. I pop them in at 400 degrees for 12 minutes in my air fryer and get on with making the rest of breakfast. This is my favorite brand of sausage, but you can really use whatever breakfast sausage you like. I pop them on a plate in the microwave for 30 seconds just to get them defrosted before putting them in the pan with the eggs. Now that the pan is preheated, you're going to give it a quick spritz of oil and go in with our eggs, seasoning them generously with salt before adding sausage to the pan and popping on the lid. At this point, you're going to lower the heat to about like a 2 because there's already enough heat in the pan to get the whites set. Several months ago, in an attempt to add more protein to this breakfast, I started making a protein cold brew iced mocha, but truth be told, even though it helps get things moving in the morning, if you know what I mean, I'm still not much of a coffee drinker. I have been on a quest for over a year for a sweet Greek yogurt that isn't too sour. And I have probably tried at least 10 different brands and flavors. Recently, several of my subscribers suggested that I try the Oikos 000 vanilla Greek yogurt. It's a blended Greek yogurt, which is probably why it isn't so sour, and it is absolutely delicious. I have been completely obsessed over the last couple of weeks. So this week I decided that in place of a protein mocha, I would try some yogurt mixed with my fruit. This breakfast is already pretty filling for me as is, so I only used 95 grams of yogurt, 27 grams of mango, and 22 grams of blueberries. That little bit of yogurt adds another 10 grams of protein, and the final breakdown for this meal was 367 calories, 29 grams of protein, 22 carbs, and 18 fat. I know this definitely shows off my OCD brain, but I cut each sausage into 6 pieces and then the tots in half, and I get a piece of sausage, a bit of yolky, saucy egg, and a crunchy tot half, and it is absolutely the perfect bite. Since starting Wegovy in October 2021, I've never really needed to eat snacks. Most weeks it was all I could do to eat 3 meals a day, and some days I couldn't even manage that. But since starting to increase my physical activity, and most recently since going back to work, I've noticed that some days I start to feel a little bit peckish between breakfast and lunch, especially because I have breakfast at like 7 a.m. and I don't usually have lunch until like 12:30 or 1. I don't really want anything big, and I prefer for it to have a good amount of protein, so most days I'll just grab a Built Bar. My favorite flavor right now is the cookie dough chunk puff. It's like a cookie dough topped marshmallow covered in chocolate. It has 15 grams of collagen protein for only 160 calories. So it's an awesome snack all on its own. But this week I saw that my favorite apples were on sale at H-E-B for less than $1 a pound. I love apples and peanut butter as a snack, but no matter how many times people try to sell you peanut butter as a good high protein snack, it's just not. It is a fantastic source of fat and worth it for a splurge, but at almost 200 calories per serving and a measly 15% protein, I really wouldn't be able to eat very much of it. So thankfully, I had some protein peanut butter sitting in my fridge that I whipped up not too long ago. I found this recipe from Matt at Cheat Day Design. It uses ingredients that I already have in hand. It takes less than 5 minutes to throw together, and most importantly, it's only 90 calories, with 40% protein for 2 tablespoons. And best of all, it tastes like Reese's peanut butter. So I've used it to mix some insane PB&Js over the last couple of weeks, and I think it'll make a delicious snack with my apples. Oh, yeah. Just a quick meal prep trick. If you'd like to cut your apples ahead of time and you don't like to cover them in lemon juice, like I don't like the flavor of lemon juice on my fruit, then you can just soak them in salt water. You just need a teaspoon of salt for every cup of water. You cover your apples in that for about 10 minutes. I like to cover them with a folded paper towel to keep them submerged. And then you just drain them off. You don't need to rinse them, and they stay perfectly crisp. They do not brown in the fridge for several days. And I promise they are not salty tasting at all, at least not to me. So for 129 calories and 8 grams of protein, the snack is crunchy, sweet, filling, and it really helps with the mid-morning slump. Not every meal needs to be a massive production. And if we're being honest, I don't have the time or energy to do that anyway. So this week I'm utilizing leftovers for my lunches. The good news is that means that every day will be a little bit different. It brings some much needed variety and takes some of the stress off of meal planning. Today, I'm gonna have some leftover garlic parmesan chicken and crispy potatoes with a side of sauteed veggies from last week's dinners. This was a recipe from Jello Fit on Instagram, and it is delicious. I would definitely recommend cutting back on the seasonings, as I'm pretty sure that he accidentally wrote tablespoon when he meant teaspoon. You'll see what I mean when you look at the recipe, but I cut back all of the tablespoon seasonings by almost half, and it was still a little bit overpowering. So I would treat all of the ones that say tablespoon like teaspoon. If you get overwhelmed by meal planning and finding a variety of recipes, I highly recommend utilizing leftovers as an option for your lunches. You will definitely thank yourself later. This particular lunch was 496 calories with 44 grams of protein, 40 grams of carbs, and 20 fat. When the weather cools down, I love making soups and stews, and nothing warms me up like a thick and hearty chili. We're gonna start by browning our onions and spices in a large Dutch oven until they're softened. My best friend Nikki got me this one for Christmas last year, and I absolutely love it. After about 7 to 10 minutes, you're gonna add in the garlic and give it a stir for about 30 to 60 seconds, just until it's really fragrant. And then you're gonna add in your ground meat of choice. I have a couple pounds of ground venison that a friend gave me forever ago, but you can easily substitute ground beef for turkey, and I'm sure it'll be just fine. You're gonna break that up and cook it until it's no longer pink. Then add our canned tomatoes. I've lived in Texas for over 14 years, and I love my state. But we put beans in our chili in this house. And so this is definitely not a Texas chili, but it is still chili. So we're gonna dump in our beans. I used 1 can of pinto chili beans, juice and all, and a drained and rinsed can of navy beans because I think kidney beans are the devil, but you use whatever your heart desires. Then add our bay leaf for 2, reduce the heat to low, and let it simmer away for as long as you like, but at least 30 minutes. About 30 minutes before you're ready to eat, go ahead and take the lid off and let it bubble away for another 30 minutes or so just to let it thicken up a little bit. Taste it for seasoning and serve it with your toppings of choice. I like to use plain Greek yogurt for some extra protein, and to be honest, it tastes just like sour cream to me. Some reduced fat shredded cheese and some raw diced onion on top. If you have the extra calories for it, we always ate chili with Ritz crackers growing up, and if you haven't tried it, that is absolutely delicious. But this giant pot is 8 servings of comfort in a bowl for only 418 calories, 35 grams of protein, 40 carbs, and 14 grams of fat. I have a huge sweet tooth, so I always make sure to incorporate some sort of sweet treat at the end of the day into my meal plan. This week I was scrolling through my macro-friendly food app and I happened upon this recipe for protein pumpkin cream cheese bread. Yum. I've talked about macro-friendly food a lot on this channel, but for those of you who may be new, first of all, welcome. But MFF, like we like to call it around here, is a recipe subscription service that I've been using for the last year or so to help make meal planning much easier for myself. It's a collection of over 800 high protein, low calorie recipes. She adds new recipes every month, and they are all pre-logged in Macros First and MyFitnessPal for those of you who like to track calories. It has a built-in meal plan and shopping list feature, and I can't even tell you how much time and exasperation it has saved me over the last year of my life. I know I can't always share MFF recipes with y'all because they're part of the app, but this one is available for free on Elise's Instagram, so I will have it down below for you as well. We're gonna start by preheating the oven to 350 and spraying a 9x5 loaf pan with baking spray. I contemplated making this one into muffins and honestly wish I would have for reasons that you will see later. Then we're gonna combine our applesauce, sweetener, pumpkin, yogurt, and the recipe called for plain Greek yogurt, but I opted to use the Oikos mostly because I tried to open my plain Greek yogurt and it had mold in it. And then the milk and vanilla, and then we're gonna mix those up until they're smooth. To that same bowl, I'm gonna add flour, protein powder, and then I like to sift my baking soda and baking powder to get out the little lumps that always seem to show up in there. Salt and pumpkin pie spice. Now, I don't love store-bought pumpkin pie spice because I'm not a big fan of the flavor of cloves. It's PTSD from those days when I thought it would be cool to try smoking clove cigarettes in college. So I make my own by using a teaspoon of cinnamon, a quarter teaspoon of ground ginger, and an eighth to a quarter teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg. Basically, I just kept shaving it in there until it looked right. In a separate bowl, preferably one more appropriately sized than the one I picked, go ahead and combine a third less fat softened cream cheese or Neufchâtel cheese, it's the same thing, sweetener, protein powder, and flour. To help keep the mixture really smooth, I beat the egg and vanilla in a separate bowl before I added it to the cream cheese mix. And I used a fork to get those ingredients incorporated into the cream cheese, and then I beat it totally smooth with a whisk. Now, this would have been much easier with a hand mixer, but really, why do things the easy way when you can dirty 5 extra dishes instead? That's what I say. You're gonna pour 2/3 of the pumpkin bread batter in the loaf pan, spread it out, and then pour all of the cream cheese filling into an even layer, followed by the remaining pumpkin bread batter on top. And you're gonna have to spoon it to cover the cream cheese layer because it's really thick. Cover the pan with foil. Don't be like me. Spray the foil before putting it on top and bake it for 45 to 50 minutes or until an inserted toothpick comes out clean. Now, that's what the instructions say. In reality, I kept taking it in and out of the oven to check it after 40 minutes because I know how badly protein desserts can dry out if you cook them too long. And I had to bake it for close to an hour and a half. There was still a small portion in the top middle that was a little bit jiggly and uncooked. So if you plan to make this recipe, for heaven's sake, do jumbo muffins instead. Once it's baked, you're gonna let the loaf cool completely before slicing it up and wrapping in the individual slices in plastic wrap to keep them good and moist. The recipe divides it into 10 portions, but I had the calories to reduce it to 6. So I have 6 very hearty slices of this bread to munch on throughout the week, warmed up with some vanilla Greek yogurt icing on top for a surprising 314 calories, 27 grams of protein, 39 carbs, and 5 grams of fat. After breakfast, snack, lunch, dinner, and dessert, my day ended at 1,805 calories, 147 grams of protein, which was 32%, 160 grams of carbs, which was 35%, and 67 grams of fat, which was 33%. My goal is 30% protein. I would say we did it. Before I go, I promised to show you guys how to customize your own calorie and macro goals to fit your lifestyle. So I want to walk you through that really quickly. I have a link to the TDEE calculator that I use down in the description, and there's also a link to the meal planning spreadsheet I created that has the TDEE calculator in the spreadsheet with instructions on how to use it. When you first open the TDEE calculator, first of all, TDEE stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure. You're going to fill out your gender, your age, your weight, your height, and your activity level based on your current lifestyle. If you know your body fat percentage, you can use that, but if you're just using a scale, it's not always super accurate, so I'll sometimes do it without the body fat and then do it again with the body fat, which you'll see me do later, and take kind of an average of both. And then we're going to click on calculate, and that'll allow us to look at our results. And when you scroll down, you'll see here it shows your maintenance calories. So this is if you're taking a break from being in a deficit. That's how many calories you want to eat in order to maintain your current weight loss based on the algorithm. If you look back up at the top, you'll see that there's the recalculate button, and right next to that is the body fat percentage, where I'll fill in that body fat and then recalculate so that I can take a look at the difference between those two results. As we scroll further down the page, you'll see some information about your ideal weight and BMI. Don't really pay attention to those much. And then we get to the meat and the potatoes. This is where you'll see your maintenance, cutting, and bulking calories. Cutting is for a deficit, and this is showing us how many calories we want to be at for a 500 calorie per day deficit. And that allows for about a 1 pound per week loss. And right here is where it even breaks down for you based on a moderate carb, low carb, and higher carb intake what exactly your macros should be. So for those of you who always ask, how do I count my macros or calculate my macros? This is how I always calculate mine, and I go for a moderate carb intake. Keep in mind that the TDEE calculator is really just a tool to give you a starting point. Everyone's metabolism is different, especially those of us who have made a lifelong career out of cereal dieting. You may have to make slight adjustments to your calories and macros as you go to find out where your body is at. If you stayed at the same calories from the calculator for over a month and not seen any progress, try lowering your goal by 100 calories or so. If you're constantly hungry all the time, especially if you're on a GLP-1, you probably aren't eating enough. Now, I do mean actual hunger, not just thinking about food, because food noise and hunger are two very different things. I've worked really hard on repairing my metabolism over the last couple of years, and I'm super happy with the progress that I've seen. It just means that I won't have to work as hard to maintain my weight loss once I get to the end. My current calorie goal is 1,804 with a protein goal of 135 grams a day. I use the 30-35-35 model, but I follow the carbs and fat very loosely. I really mostly only care about hitting my protein goal. I also do calorie cycling, so most days I don't eat 1,804 calories. I'm usually just under 1,700, sometimes even lower than that, and I save up my extra calories for when we decide to eat out at restaurants. That way I don't have to deprive myself, and I can enjoy what I'd like to eat without feeling like I'm destroying all the progress that I've made throughout the week. If you'd like a more in-depth look at how I approach meal planning, feel free to check out this video next. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and say hi to me down in the comments. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
We're on a journey, looking back on the things that we've taken for granted, but feels like we're learning to be better